thank you for agreeing to have a chat with us. I've seen the trailer for Johnny Dynamo. I cannot wait to see what you do in the webisode or the web series.
It's going to be quite exciting. I mean, we have 10 episodes for the second season that are being edited and finished now. We're done shooting them, and there's some very funny stuff in that thing, and serious. I mean, the combination. I mean, it'll make you think and laugh. I'll tell you that.
I can imagine. I was just sitting there looking because I popped on IMDb Pro and had a look at some of the titles of the episodes, and just the titles themselves are really interesting and quite funny. A dead horse in my bed this morning. I want that skinny little skank exterminated. There's some absolutely wonderful titles. You want me to wear a what?
This Joe Thomas who writes all of them and directs them. It's very funny. They just keep rolling out. They keep rolling out. So we said, okay, we'll say them. Let's go. Absolutely. So we have fun with it. It's a very wonderful loose set. He gives us that freedom of that, and the actors are the second season. I mean, there's some heavyweights here, and as I said, it gets fun. It gets fun, Michael.
I can imagine. And not to cast any dispersions, since you said heavyweights, but what's it like working with Tommy Lister?
He's a joy. He's a joy. We had one scene, the first scene we had together. It was so funny because after the scene, he says, "Terry," he says, "I'm learning from the master." He says, "Here I am, a 6'5" guy, 300 pounds, in your face, yelling at you, and you're eating an orange." He says, "I'm learning from the master."
That is brilliant.
we get along wonderful. He's a very gentle soul. And a hard worker, and he's going to make a wonderful impression on the Johnny Dynamo series.
Fantastic. Who are some of the other folks you're working with, and how are you getting on with them?
They're wonderful. The original group, Rick Wells is Johnny Dynamo, and there's Sarah Shoemaker, wonderful actress, who plays Hannah. Jonathan Everett, wonderful actor, and Daniel Collins. And they were both they're from the original cast, and then Joe expanded this thing about myself and about Tiny and other actors. But the four originals they're wonderful young actors, and they held that whole first series, the whole first season together. And as you know, Johnny Dynamo became one of the top 10 web series in the nation.
Yeah.
And now nobody knows what's going to happen now. I mean, because it's going to explode.
I can imagine. Yeah.
yeah. It's going to be interesting to see the reaction. Everybody, saw that trailer, and now everybody's, starting to yell, saying, "Come on, let's go! Let me see it! So time will tell. Time will tell.
Well, that's definitely the reaction I had, because I was a latecomer to the Johnny Dynamo thing. I got a message from Jenny saying that you were going to be in season 2, and I was like, oh, I need to check this thing out, because I'm a huge fan of what you've been doing over the years. And I sat down and got completely addicted to the first season. And did the old binge watching thing that's so popular now, and I thought, yeah, I can't wait to see this.
Well, sit down and hold your seat, because it's going to be a ride, I'll tell you that.
Fantastic.
The storylines go all over the place.
Oh, brilliant.
We come in Monday morning, and all of a sudden Joe says, "Here it is," and we go, "Whoa, wait a minute here." And, from scenes in confessionals, that is one of the funniest scenes I've seen, scenes about dog piss on the money trying to give to the bad guy and stuff like that.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It comes out of left field, but all in the structure of the piece.
Yeah.
So it's not shtick or anything else. It's all real comedy, which comes out of situations and stuff like that.
Yes.
And we're both Joe and I, and we're both believers in the reality of comedy. It's not shtick. The second season, as I said, is it's funny and it's real, but it's all based on reality. So as I said, I don't like shtick. Comedy is so much fun if it comes out of a situation, and that kind of comedy lasts forever. In other words, you
Exactly.
can watch it again and again. It's like somebody, I use the example of someone slipping on a banana. You know, in
Yeah.
other words, the ninth time that he's going to slip on that banana is funnier than the first time because it's all set up and you're just waiting for that reality to happen.
Exactly.
So that's what Johnny Dynamo is. It's that ninth banana coming at you.
Yeah, I love it.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be fun.
That's absolutely brilliant. Well, I just wanted to broach really quickly. You've had a really long career. I mean, the year that Weekend at Bernie's came out was the year my daughter was born. And one of the
Wow.
first funny films she saw that I made sure she watched was Weekend at Bernie's because I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Still think it's absolutely brilliant. I watched it again the other day. Obviously, you must have had a great time filming that.
Always did. I mean, yeah. What were you going to ask?
I was just gonna say, what's more difficult in your estimation? I mean, they're both comedy, obviously what you're playing, but what was more difficult for you in the long run, playing a corpse brilliantly, if I can say so, and
Thank you.
playing a mob boss, which you were quite excited to get to do.
You want to know something? Acting is I love the craft, and you know, I have no ego about it. It's a craft like anything else, like a good locksmith, like anything.
Yes.
And so both of these things, as I said, they're both individual, and you know, I'm happy to be on the set and being able to say lines. You know, so in Bernie, yeah, you know, you didn't have to say too much, but boy, you had to be there. And somebody asked me that. Somebody asked me the other day, well, what were you doing all this time?
Yeah.
And I said, you know, I really went back to acting 101 and said, what is this Bernie really doing? And what he's doing is he's goofing
Yeah.
on these people, is what he's doing, and he's goofing. And the first time, you know what dailies are?
Yes.
You know what dailies are? You know, yeah, you see them the next day, what you shot the day before.
Yes.
And the first time I saw myself dead in Bernie, he wasn't funny. He was just dead. He wasn't funny dead.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm saying, uh-oh. And so here I am in a hotel room at 3:30 in the morning trying to figure out how can I make a dead guy funny?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where that Bernie smirk came from.
Yes.
In a hotel room at 3:30 in the morning, me looking in the mirror and said, oh, that's funny. Now can I hold that for 2 minutes?
Yeah.
And I always base anything that's good on a set. You know, if you can make these old timer, you know, grips and things, and your crew laugh, you know you got something. And the first time they saw that Bernie smirk, they started laughing. I said, okay, now we got a dead guy that's funny. This is going to work.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it went from there.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That is brilliant because that was what made it so absolutely hysterical. Was that little smirk he kept on his face throughout the entire film? That was absolutely brilliant.
That was fun. And the character was Johnny Dynamo. In other words, Joe kind of asked me, he said, what do you think we should, I'd like you involved in this thing. And I didn't even hesitate, and I don't know where it came from. I said, what if I play the head of the mafia?
Yeah.
And Joe looked at me like I was totally crazy. But working with Joe, he says that is totally ridiculous idea, and then it sits inside of him for about 5 minutes, and then he starts spinning off of that.
Oh, brilliant.
And that's how we created this Michael guy, this crazy character. Yeah, very rejuvenated. What we did is we started saying funny words, and it started coming out because I couldn't pronounce a word. And so Joe just built it into the script. So now we got this guy coming up with words that don't make any sense whatsoever, and you know the character thinks that he just has good English. That's all.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the people hear these words coming out and say, "Where the hell did that come from?" So that was part of the character building. So see, that's fun. That's fun to build something like that. So Joe and I just went with the character and found out where he went and what he did, and that's how it came down the second season. It's good, Michael. It's very good. It's amazing.
Well, I cannot wait to watch it. And one of the things I wanted to ask you, because this whole thing with webisodes and web series is sort of new. Especially in the fact that there are more and more people doing them and more people doing really good ones, as evidenced by Johnny Dynamo. What's the difference? Because like I said, you've worked for years. You've worked on stage, film, television, and now you're working on these web series. What's the biggest difference, say, between working on TV, which I think in my mind is as close as you can get to a web series? What's the difference between working in TV and for the web?
There isn't any difference. That's the beauty of it. In other words, you're still building a character, you're still shooting. The production values on Johnny Dynamo are, somebody asked me the other day, and I said they're like Dustin Hoffman film. In other words, the production values are wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Agreed.
And
yeah,
it's like a movie.
Yeah.
And so there isn't a difference for the actor or the crew. In other words, we're just building a story and flushing things out and finding these characters and the realness of the situations and things like that. So there isn't a difference. As far as distribution, there's always a difference, and I don't be the one to understand that. But a lot of people are very interested with these 10 episodes of saying, well, can we look at this thing? Some heavyweights. So we don't know where it's going to go. We don't know where it's going to go or what's going to happen. But I think that's kind of the excitement that's been built around Johnny Dynamo right now.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of itching to see these 10 episodes, and it's liable to go someplace that we don't even know yet.
Exactly. So I guess my other question, which was going to be, are we possibly looking at Terry Kiser showing up in a season 3 that won't be answerable yet?
I think that's true. And as I said, we don't know where it's going to go, but there are some big people now looking at this thing and are kind of frothing at the mouth to be able to see these 10 episodes for distribution of putting it on their network maybe. Fantastic. So this is all in the works, and I don't really concern myself with that at this stage. In other words, do the work, hit your mark, say the lines, and go home and kiss your wife. Yeah, and somebody right at the end, which is going to be funny. Somebody at the end of the second episode, the 10th episode of the second season, somebody dies, and so that's going to be the cliffhanger. Nobody knows who's going to die, but somebody dies.
Ooh, that sounds excellent.
Yeah. Cass doesn't even know who it is.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, that's going to be the cliffhanger. Somebody dies, and all of a sudden, oh shoot! Now I got to wait another year for this thing.
That's brilliant.
Fun, huh, Michael?
Yeah, I love this. I love it. Absolutely love it. And speaking of over the next year, I'm just sitting there looking again, referencing IMDb Pro. You've got a lot of projects, not only this year, but next year coming up. You're going to be very, very busy.
I feel very fortunate about that. For some reason, it seems to be my time, and I just I don't worry about it. I'm a pretty laid back, happy guy, and so what comes. And, we take that as the steps come. Right now I'm working on this film called The Body Sculptor.
Yes.
And we're starting a 7-week shoot of this film. And so my whole heart and soul now is into this, and I'm very part. I'm excited about the project. I'm excited about my fellow cast members who Joe has surrounded me with. And to see this start moving, I think it's quite exciting for Left Brain Digital being the first feature for them, and as I said, he's surrounded everyone with quite a cast and a good script, a very wonderful script that I think is going to be good. So we're just starting that. So that's where my head's at right now, and what comes may come.
Fantastic.
You don't, Michael, you know that. UK, New York, Vegas. Where the hell am I right now?
Exactly.
Well, you're sitting in Vegas and you're not worried about UK or New York. So one step at a time, as they say. Exactly.
I'm just sitting here looking at the list. You're going to be working with Tiny Lister again and Sarah Shoemaker. So it's going to be kind of like Old Home Week, isn't it?
It's always fun. It's always fun to work with actors that you worked with before. You have kind of a rapport with them. They know where you're coming from. You know where they're coming from, and there's a wonderful creative looseness that I say This wonderful actress by the name of Nellie Shudo is playing my wife in this film. Wonderful actress. So I'm really, and I've worked with her before, and she comes. I think she comes Monday to start doing. She plays my wife, as I said, and start doing our scenes together. So to answer your question, yes, to work with people you've worked with before that are true professionals that love the craft, you know, and it's not showbiz and I'm a movie star and stuff like this. It's people that really want to work. And that way you really get some fine performances and some good creative effort. And that's what we're looking forward to.
Fantastic stuff. Absolutely fantastic. I know the last thing I've seen in your publicity, one of the things, this is the first anniversary of your acting studio in Austin. Are you still planning on running that despite the fact it looks like you're going to be incredibly busy working?
Thank you for asking about that. Yeah, all of a sudden it turned out to be the best acting school in Austin. It's called the Actors Arena.
Yes.
And you can pull that website on that thing, and it's become kind of sold out. But we had to shut down for 3 months because of all these projects that I had.
Yeah.
And we'll start again November 10th, and I'm excited to go back to that. In other words, we have such a nice rapport with the city of Austin, and now that it's become the premier acting studio for people, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And all I'm doing really is they're not learning from me; they're learning from people that I've had the pleasure with throughout these years, from Carol Burnett to Gene Hackman to Albert Finney to these people that I've learned so much from. And so all I'm doing is really just passing on knowledge that I've learned. And it's fun to see young people. I have an 86-year-old woman in one of my classes.
Wow.
Yeah. And how fun is that?
Yeah, that is brilliant.
So it's been very successful and very gratifying for me to share the craft, because I've been very lucky throughout all. And but it's in hiatus right now until November 10th.
But it will be starting back up again, which is brilliant. Just look, because I've seen you in so many different things, and you're one of these actors I've always thought of. In the UK, they used to refer it to someone that was always on screen and always gave credible performances, and you believed anything you saw them in as successful jobbing actors, in the fact that they were always working. And then that, to me, when I think of you, I always think that you are always in something and you're always believable whenever you're playing. I know you started your training with the Actor Studio, I think that's in New York.
Mm-hmm. And we're with Lee Strasberg at the Actor Studio.
Yes.
He gave me a gift. He gave me the craft of acting. The technique of the craft of how to utilize yourself, how to be real, how to. But the whole secret, so simple of acting is acting is learning how not to act.
Yes.
Just being there. Somebody said, they asked Robert Duvall one time. He said, "You worked with Marlon Brando." He said, "What did you learn from him?" And Duvall looked at the guy and he said, "Brando has no beginnings." He said, he's sitting here talking to you, and all of a sudden he goes in front of the camera. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
There is no beginning. It's just real. It's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And to incorporate that into your craft of being that attuned to now is really where it's at. And that's you're not acting. You're just being there. And that's kind of what I've learned from Strasberg in those wonderful years, and what I try to pass on. And you want to know something, Michael? It's made me a better actor to have to verbalize the craft. It's the way I see it. And as I said, it's made me a better craftsman and more aware of the craft itself. So two-way street, goes a long ways.
Exactly, and it obviously works very, very well, because, as I said, everything I've seen you in, I've never at any point in time seen the gears working. I've always believed implicitly in whatever character you were portraying, that it was coming across naturally and that you weren't putting on some sort of show for the camera.
That's very thoughtful. Those are nice remarks, and I humbly accept that. So that's, as I said, that's the whole idea, that I try to just be there and not act, and just be. And I'm very big into backstories. In other words, where this guy came from, where he is before he stepped on the set, what is his life and stuff like that. And if you have that full, then you don't have to act. The character's just there. It just happens.
Exactly.
And so that's the way I've worked. And I thank you for that jargon, those words, because that's what it's all about.
Exactly. And one of the things I wanted to ask you, you've worked with in my mind, some of the most iconic figures in cinema and television, Carol Burnett and Gene Hackman.
Oh, my.
I cannot imagine how different it must have been working with both of those, because I can't imagine they both approached the craft or the thing from any of the same avenue whatsoever.
You know what? In a funny way, they did. But I'll give you an example with Carol Burnett. Carol Burnett, I remember one time that we were going over a new script and stuff, and I was telling her, I was sitting down talking. I said, you know, this character, I don't know, maybe you should have an accent or something like this, and you know, maybe I should wear different clothes with the guy. And I started to, and all of a sudden she looked at me and she stood up and she said, stand up, come here, do it, now, do it, now, do it. In other words, what she was saying is, do something, don't intellectualize about it, see what happens, see where it goes, take a chance. You know, stand up there, jump off the cliff, let's go.
Yeah.
And she was a firm believer in that. That's where her skill came from, is the comedy of just do it, let's see what happens. You know, trust yourself. And with Hackman, I mean, he was just there. You know, he was just there. And he was a delight to me. I was young, and Hackman would just look at me and he says, just say the lines, just do it.
Yeah.
And so it was really the same thing. It's the same craft of just stop the intellect, stop the chatter that you have in your head, and let the rest take over. Let the being be there. Let's see what just happens.
Yeah.
Because things will happen that you don't know that's coming out. And so in a way, Hackman and Carol were the same way. In other words, let's just do it. Stop thinking, just do it. And it was a great lesson. As I bowed to both of them, you know.
Yeah. That's just.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man, sir.
That is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. About Johnny Dynamo again. When is season 2 starting?
I think it's going to be about October 14th-ish.
October 14th.
Because they got 3 editors on this thing right now, and they're you know, putting the music is wonderful. New music. This young kid that Joe found, I don't know where the hell he found him, out of in a back alley someplace. Yeah. And you know, such a young creative talent. So I think everything will be ready around October 15th-ish.
Fantastic.
And that's the date they're kind of going for.
And without wanting to put you on the hot spot, who did you have the most fun working with on the season?
On the season, I mean Johnny Dynamo season?
Yeah.
Joe Thomas, because he and I did in each other's face in a very creative, wonderful way.
That's
me always saying, I can't say that line. He says, why can't you say it? I said, I have no idea why I can't say it. So it makes him crazy, and then we get crazy, and then we come up with something that neither one of us could have come up with. That's the beauty and the freedom of the whole thing. So,
thank you so much for taking the time to have this chat with us.
You are more than welcome. I hope, Michael, that you enjoy Vegas, let go of the UK, let go of New York, be where you are right now, all right?
Exactly. That is words to live by, and I plan to do so. Thank you so much, sir.
You are welcome, Michael. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.